Broadcasting from Cincinnati, you're listening to the Ringside Reporter Podcast. All the news from the world of boxing right here.
Well, I'm talking to you the way I want to talk to you.
Now, here's your host, Eric Lorda.
And we are live. Welcome to the Ringside Reporter Show, where we talk about the latest boxing news. If it's related to boxing, we'll talk about it here. My name is Eric Lorda, and I'm here with my co-host, England's adopted son, Joe Habib. And today we have a great show for you. And if you want to call and ask questions, you can call in right now at 323-870-3857. And we'll be here till about 8:30 or 9 tonight. And today we're going to talk about Canelo Alvarez being stripped of his IBF title. We'll tell you why. And Sergey Kovalev getting into some trouble before his big fight. Every time he's in Russia, he gets into trouble, it seems like. Although this time he wasn't in Russia, but you get the gist of it. We got all the details. Before we begin tonight's show, we want to offer our thoughts and prayers to everyone in El Paso, Texas, and Dayton, Ohio. Just a tragic 24 hours in America. So thoughts and prayers are with you guys, and be well and stay strong. So, all right, so let's get started. Let's get down with it here. On Fox, PBC on Fox, we're not going to start with the main event this time, man. This one's too good. Marcus Browne versus Jean Pascal for the WBA interim light heavyweight title, for Browne's WBA interim light heavyweight title. It started like this, man. Jean Pascal has not looked good in a long time. His last fight was against Dimitri Bivol. The fight really wasn't competitive. He lost almost every round in the fight. He was a 23-1 underdog in this fight against Marcus Browne. Absolutely nobody expected Pascal to win this fight, and even fewer expected him to be competitive. And I was completely wrong, and I think everybody was completely wrong in this one, man. Browne did really well in the first couple rounds. He was boxing. He was doing what Marcus Browne does, boxing very well. But, Pascal had a hard time catching him. Browne is just one of those guys. He's a real slick boxer. He's hard to catch. But in the fourth round, Pascal dropped him with a hard right hand. Browne got up, staggered a little bit, but he still made it out of the round. He was stunned. He was really hurt, I think, in that fourth round. And in the seventh, Pascal dropped Browne two more times. Now, the first time he dropped him, again, he got up and he looked okay. He kind of looked amazed that he was down. He got back up, and then right after that, I think he was hit with a right hand again, put him right down in the ropes. And at that point, you knew he's in a lot of danger, man. This guy is in big, big trouble. But the only problem was it was right at the end of the round. If Pascal had about one more minute, that fight would have been over. He would have knocked him out. I really believe that, man. In the eighth round, Browne was cut with an accidental headbutt, and it was must have been pretty deep, man. I didn't actually see the cut, but the doctor stopped the fight immediately, and at this point, go to the scorecards, and it was unanimous, 75-74 for Jean Pascal. Jean Pascal gets a technical decision win. I'll tell you what, I wasn't a Jean Pascal fan. I'm not, but you got to love this story. I mean, this guy, again, he's fought the who's who in his division. He's fought the who's who, but he's never beaten the who's who. You know what I mean? He's come up short a lot of times, and he was expected to come up short against Marcus Browne. This was supposed to, Jean Pascal was kind of a feeder for Marcus Browne, just somebody to make him look good and that kind of thing, man. But I'll tell you what, didn't work out that way. Beeb, what were your thoughts on this?
Well, it's been a while since Pascal really looked sharp. He did beat Lucien Butte. He did beat Jad Dawson. He did beat Diakonu. So he has some decent names on his resume. But in recent years, he's come up short. And I laughed at this fight last week when we were talking about it. And this is no disrespect to Jean Pascal. I mean, I just held Marcus Browne in such high regard, and Pascal's definitely exiting his prime right now. He's 36 years old. I don't think he's looked spectacular in a long time. He's had some tough losses to Kovalev, lost to Bivol recently. So in recent years, let's say the last four years or so, when he stepped up, he has come up short. But I can't say it enough, and we can't say it enough, and it sounds cliche at this point, but styles do make fights. And this was the same thought process when Chad Dawson was going into his fight with Chad Dawson. This is Chad Dawson, another tall, lanky, slick southpaw, good boxer. But for whatever reason, that awkward style of Jean Pascal just seemed to really trouble Dawson, and he couldn't get a rhythm on it. And this fight was very similar to that, because that fight ended in a technical decision as well in the 11th round. This one ended in a technical decision a little bit earlier in the 8th. But it's so funny because the sport of boxing sometimes is it's a game of inches. You could do everything right for a long period of the round, or you could do everything right for multiple amount of rounds, but you make that one mistake, and it erases all your work. So he was definitely, Marcus Browne, winning the rounds. He had the first 3 rounds in the bank, right?
Yeah.
And he won all the rounds except for the 8th and the two rounds that he suffered knockdowns in. So he was winning the majority of this fight. But that one mistake he made, and it's not even really a mistake, because that right hand is just such a weird right hand that Pascal throws. It's like he brings his hand down by his waist, okay? He pulls it down, drops it down by his waist, and then he throws it like a sidearm pitch, and it comes around the guard. So even if you do have your hand up in front of your face, it's still going to catch you on the side of the head more often than not, if you're not able to see it and you're not able to prepare for it. So it's sort of like a blind punch, but not only a blind punch, but it's just a punch that's really not taught in the gym. You're not going to see a guy on the heavy bag. You're not going to see a guy on the pads, the guy holding the pads, telling him, okay, throw the sidearm right hand from your hip. It's not going to be a punch that's going to be called out on any training drill, correct? So how do you train for something like that, number one? And number two, it's almost like same thing with Vernon Forrest versus Ricardo Mayorga. Another style matchup. Like Vernon Forrest beats Shane Mosley twice, right? But Shane Mosley destroys Ricardo Mayorga, but Vernon Forrest can't beat Ricardo Mayorga. So it's just certain styles just don't work well together. You have a guy that's a prototypical boxer, technical boxer, textbook boxer, against a guy that's anything but a textbook boxer. Does a lot of things on the fly. He basically gets in there, and you think he has a game plan, but a lot of what he does is off of adrenaline, off of emotion, off of athleticism, basically. So it's the same thing with Mayorga when he fought Forrest. Some guys just don't do well with those guys that do everything wrong because they're not used to it. And this was the classic case of that.
Yeah.
This was the classic case of that because, same thing like with Bernard Hopkins. Bernard Hopkins, beat Jean Pascal, and Jean Pascal beats Chad Dawson, but Bernard Hopkins can't beat Chad Dawson. It's just, I don't know. It's just like some people just can't deal with that crazy style.
Combat math don't work.
Combat math doesn't work. And we can go down the line, and we can throw a lot of different examples up there on this. And Marcus Browne was thought to be, by a lot of people, and myself included, possibly the best guy in the division, or the most promising guy in the division when it's all said and done.
I thought he was the best guy in the division.
Yeah, because
really did.
Because of his size, because I thought he was kind of a tough guy to deal with because he was just so good at fighting on the outside. He was just a hard guy to get inside on, number one. And when you do get inside, he was really good at tying you up. But Pascal's not an inside guy. He's not an outside guy. He's a mid-range guy who's sort of like an ambush guy, like David Haye. He has a similar style to David Haye, in and out, throws those wide, weird looping shots, and that's what he does. That's a light heavyweight version of David Haye. And you either can figure it out or you can't. You know? So
that's the thing, man. I mean, when you get somebody that's at that level, that's awkward.
But,
he's there for a reason. You know what I mean?
But I have to say one thing. He was very determined last night. I don't know if it was because his daughter was in the crowd or what, but he seemed like a man possessed last night. Even when he was losing rounds, he was getting hit with good shots. His face just looked so, like, his face didn't change. Like, he did not look hurt at all because he got hit with some good shots. He got hit with some good straight lefts, some good right hooks. He was getting picked apart from the outside in a lot of spots in the fight, but he stuck with it. He didn't get discouraged. He was just dialed in last night, more so than I've ever seen him. And he wasn't in Canada either. He was away from home, so he was just, like you said, excuse me, sorry to cut you off. He was a man on a mission. And that's exactly what he was. So,
hey, Beeb, let me ask you a question now. Like, you mentioned a great point that I thought about last night, but it didn't really register with me. This guy always fights in Canada. Always. Did it do him some good to get him out of Canada?
Well, I guess
you know what I mean.
Well, hindsight's 2020.
Let me explain. Because you know how the hometown, when you're fighting in your hometown, you got your people there. They're always asking you for tickets. They're always asking you for this and that. There's a lot of distractions.
Good point, Eric. Good point.
And you just kind of wonder.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I forgot about the Chad Dawson fight. I thought Chad Dawson was I don't think he was the same. I thought Chad Dawson was kind of on a slide when they won. It's still a good win, though. I mean, it's Chad Dawson.
Well, the thing is Chad Dawson ended up. I think he ended up after Hopkins beat Pascal. Chad Dawson went on to beat Hopkins after that, so he won the title back. But he still was on a slide.
Yeah, he sure did. Yeah, maybe he did.
Yeah, so it was kind of weird. It was just
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a good win. But I tell you what, no matter what win, I mean, nothing tops what he did last night, man. I mean, and how much do you think Pascal has left in the tank? Because I didn't think he had much after last night. I would like to see him, because honestly, I mean, prior to those first 3 rounds, if you take those first 3 rounds, now obviously the fight's 12 rounds, but if you take those first 3 rounds, he didn't look great. And after that knockdown or whatever, he caught him, and obviously I think they saw something in that corner. They saw something.
Yeah.
But, how much do you think Pascal has left? Does he have more left in him? Would you like to see him ride off, or would you like to see him do?
Well, he's probably going to get one more big fight based off of this. And I hate to sound like a jerk, but I got to be honest. Sometimes fights like this, they're a blessing and a curse. Because now off of this fight, he's definitely going to have some confidence, which he should. But, Bivol, I thought was going to knock him out. So credit to him for surviving in the Bivol fight. But he was, he got beat thoroughly in that fight. I don't think he can beat Kovalev. I don't think he can beat Beeb. I don't think he can beat Bivol.
No.
So, what do you do with them? If I'm managing him, I'm probably going to do a rematch. But even if you do a rematch, there's no guarantee that he's going to win the rematch because this fight was razor close. I mean, he lost 5 of the 8 rounds.
Yeah, I mean, it was 75-74, and he had a 5-point swing. Like you said, he had that 5-point swing. He had that 3-point round, the 10-7
Well, he won by a point.
10-8 round. I think he won 5 points, and he
He won the fight by a point. And you think about it, if you take away those knockdowns, then he's behind. But you can't take away those knockdowns because they did happen. But I don't know. There's no guarantee that he wins the rematch either. So what do you do with them?
No.
I think the most logical fight's probably because I think Heyman's going to probably make a rematch with these 2 guys, and then after that, if he wins, maybe get him a big fight, big money fight, and that'll probably be it. Really.
I honestly, and I hate to sound like a jerk, I think the rematch is probably a safe bet for Browne.
Yeah.
I really do.
I think Browne will win the
Thought
rematch.
He was winning the fight. He got caught. I mean, Tommy Boxeo in the chat just says, does a rematch go to Canada? Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I think it does.
Why not? He won it. He earned it. Yeah. Take it to Canada. It's not going to matter. Yeah. Oh no, man. Yeah, that'd be interesting if it went to Canada though, and it'd be interesting to see these two fight again, man. I'm super happy for
it's a good
Pascal,
fight.
man. I really am.
It was a good fight.
Yeah, I couldn't believe when he won. When they stopped the fight in the 8th round, I knew it was going to the cards, and I was like, he's got a real shot here. And I was just hoping it wasn't a draw, and I was hoping he got the decision, man. And that was a big upset. It's the kind of thing you like to see. It was good. It was some really good news, man. When you watch that fight, you felt good for him, man.
How does Larry Hazard score that 8th round 10-10?
Larry Hazard.
I don't get it.
Come on, man.
Like,
and the 8th round, he scored 9-9, I believe, because he had.
That was a mistake on the graphic. He said 10-10.
Was that a mistake?
Yeah, it was a mistake on the graphic.
Okay.
He said 10-10.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, what in the world is this guy doing, man? So, yeah, man. Let's talk about the main event. Chris Arreola versus Adam Kownacki. 12 rounds heavyweights. Kownacki wins a unanimous decision over Chris Arreola by the scores of 118-110, 117-111, and 117-111. So 117-111 twice. It was a good fight, man. Both fighters threw a lot of punches, man. The two combined to land 667 punches. The two combined to throw 2,172 punches, man. This was the most punches in a heavyweight fight, according to CompuBox. It was a good fight, man, but honestly, I didn't think it was that close. I really didn't. I thought Kownacki was getting the better of Arreola all night. Most of the exchanges, most of the fight. I thought it was a clear win. I mean, I wasn't surprised when the scores were read. I thought it was a pretty clear win for Kownacki. The thing that concerns me with Kownacki, man, is I saw Arreola plant some right hands right on him early, and he tends, when I watch, and Joe, maybe you can break this down for me, like when I watch Kownacki fight, he comes in, he seems to get hit up the middle a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He doesn't, he's got his hands up, but he seems to get hit in the middle a lot because I think he's so busy throwing. Yeah. He's so busy throwing his shots.
Good points. Good observation.
He just gets hit.
Gets hit in transition.
I can't imagine him.
Gets hit in transition.
Yes. And I can't imagine him getting in there with Wilder.
If you punch with him, more often than not, you can score because he throws wide punches, and he is very susceptible to straight punches up the middle because he likes to loop the shots. And when he comes inside, comes straight in. He doesn't come in on an angle. And the thing was he was just fat. No disrespect to Arreola, he was just faster than Arreola, and he happened to hit harder than Arreola at this stage of his career. And who's to say that? I mean, I scored the fight 8-4. I thought.
All right, so 116.
Yeah, a lot of people scored at 117 and 111. Yeah. So it was a clear win. But you have to ask yourself, what happens if Arreola doesn't break his hand in the 4th round? Because he was doing some good work with the left hook too, as well. But the problem was he was still just a step behind. He was, he still was being slightly outworked. He was having moments in there, but as soon as he landed something good, Kownacki would steal the play right back from him. And his shots were a little bit more eye-grabbing because they would snap his head back, whereas a lot of Arreola's shots were kind of, he was looking just to score. He didn't really land a lot of power shots with the right hand. He was just trying to place the right hand in there. He wasn't trying to punch through the target. He was just trying to place the right hand in there to score because, his money punch is the left hook. And when he can't crank that left hook up, then his offense is very compromised, as it was last night. So I have a hard time seeing Kownacki. You know who would be a good fight for Kownacki? Joe Joyce. That's a winnable fight for him. Another guy who's slow, who's easy to hit.
I think that's a great fight. Yeah, I think that's a really good fight. I think it's a good fight for Kownacki. I think it's a horrible fight for Joe Joyce.
Dillian Whyte might be a good fight for him.
Of step up.
Dillian Whyte may be a good fight for him because Dillian Whyte doesn't have the greatest defense in the world.
What about who's he? Why can't I think of him? He just fought. He's Dillian Whyte.
Oscar Rivas?
No, the other one.
Derek Chisora?
The British. Yes, Chisora.
That's a good fight for him too.
Yeah, I think those are good fights for him.
But I can't see him beating like the Wilders,
No.
the Joshuas.
Hey, what about Joseph Parker?
I still think Parker would beat him. Parker's a little quick. He's slick.
I think Ruiz beats him. I think.
Yeah.
I think Parker beats him.
He could still beat certain guys like Chisora. Like you said, he'd have a chance against Chisora. He'd have a chance against White. He'd have a chance against Joe Joyce. You know.
Yeah, I think those are good fights for him. With Joe Joyce, I would take that fight. I mean, if I would try to make that fight, that Joe Joyce fight, because that's, I think for Kownacki, I think that would be easy work for him. I really do. That's easy work for him.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's move on to, actually, you know what? What did you think? Let me ask you before we move on here. What did you think of Wilder doing the play-by-play?
Really bad.
I thought
I'm
so
sorry,
too, but I thought he was entertaining. But I thought that like he's better at that middle station. You know what I mean? When they cut out of the fights and they go for the you got the guys at the middle and they're talking with the other fighters.
He was tripping over himself last night. I'm sorry to say.
He's much better. Yeah, he's not very good with Lennox, man. He was much better at the.
Lennox is actually getting a little bit better.
I like Lennox. I like Lennox a lot, man.
He's getting better. Seems like he's doing his homework a little better now.
Yeah,
but the one thing about Wilder is, and this is what makes him so likable, is his personality. He brings a lot of positive energy. And so, that's what endears him to people, even though he's not the best on the mic. I think it's his overall personality and his attitude, and just the way he carries himself. He's a likable person. He's a guy that normal guy on the street that you feel like you can shoot the shit with. And I think he brings that to any broadcast that he does. And that's why people like him. That's why he gets invited to the UK. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to hate on him. I'm not going to hate on him doing it. But it is what it is. I mean, it's not like you're going to listen to Wilder and really get any substantive commentary, with all due respect. Right. But he's a likable guy. And one thing that was kind of cool was when he was telling stories and stuff and talking about the old fighters and they were bringing up the matchups of how he would do against the old guys, and so
Yeah, he's one of those guys you talk to and you feel like you've known him or you knew him or you know him, or you know what I mean. It's like when you talk to him, you could just.
I could easily hang out with Deontay Wilder without question, and have a great time doing it.
Oh yeah,
if he would let me. I'm not saying that I could call him up and hang out with him. if that was ever possible, but I like one a day with Deontay Wilder and shit. Not a Charlie Z day, but just a regular day. We hang out, we go out to eat.
Charlie Z.
We go to a pool party or something. Whatever. But
you guys go up there. You guys, we all beat up Charlie Z and we go hang out with Deontay.
But he's I don't have a negative thing to say about Deontay Wilder. He's a real likable person.
He really is, man. He really is. All right, let's talk about Michael Conlan on ESPN+. Michael Conlan versus Diego Alberto Ruiz. 10 rounds featherweights. Conlan wins via 9th round stoppage over Ruiz. It was a body shot that put him down in the 9th round. Ruiz got back up, took a couple more body shots, and then they stopped it, man. Conlan stated that he wants to be world champion by this time next year. And that's kind of where I want to start this at. Yep. Beeb, we've seen Conlan. We've watched him develop. Yep. I like him a lot. I think he's got a lot of potential. I think they're bringing him along the right way. Is this a guy you see becoming a world champ coming down the pike? Not just like, as we said, just obtaining a championship, being the guy at the divisions and everything.
Well, it's hard to say because they're moving him slow, and I don't hate the fact that they're moving him slow, but I've seen guys at his at the stage of their career. How long has he been pro now? For about 2 years?
Something like that.
Yeah. So you would think second year they'd start kind of gradually bumping up the opposition. And it seems like the opposition has just kind of stayed at one level. And I don't know. I think he's got a fan-friendly style. I think he can punch. I think he's got a little bit of explosiveness to him, but I don't know if he's got the complete package just yet. Because I don't know. I'm not 100% sold on the guy, to be honest with you. I think that he hasn't really shown a wide array of skill. He's been kind of one-dimensional so far in what I've seen. And his defense isn't the greatest either. I'm not saying it's horrible, but it could use some tightening up. And I think he loads up with shots a little bit too. To me, he's not really fluid. There's kind of like a hitch to his punches. He reminds me of Ricky Hatton a little bit. How Ricky Hatton used to kind of cock that left hook a little bit. He seems to cock his punches a little bit. There's a lot of torque on his punches. So I'm not 100% sold on him just yet. I could be wrong, but I'm not. Mm-hmm. I'm not overly impressed with him. Like when I look at a guy like Lomachenko, when I look at a guy like Teofimo Lopez, I see some standout qualities. I don't see any standout qualities to Conlan. Do you? Can you name some standout qualities to him?
I like him because he's a solid boxer. There's no real he's super quick or he does unorthodox things. To me, he just looks like a very well-schooled boxer.
Yeah.
And he does basics very well. He's got a good jab. He throws his punches well. He's always I agree with you. He does need to tighten up on his defense.
I don't think he loads up a little bit. It's not like you think he's fluid with the combinations, or
and he is. I mean, he's 12-0.
Yeah.
So there is some room.
Yeah.
There is some room for improvement there. But so far, what I see, I like. Can he be the guy in a year? I don't know. Will he be a champion a year? I believe that. But will he be the guy in the year? I don't know.
Because there's so many titles and.
Sure, I think he'll get a belt.
Yeah,
I think he'll become a champion that way.
That's not impossible.
As far as being the guy. Yeah, as far as being the guy in the division, that I don't know. Let me ask you a question. So if you had one of the two, if you had Shakur Stevenson or Michael Conlan to manage, who do you take?
Shakur Stevenson.
You think he's got more of an upside? Yeah. It's a good fighter.
That guy is a really all-around good fighter. I like him.
Got a lot of talent, man. He's got a lot of talent.
So when I look at Conlan and I look at guys like who he's being compared to,
right?
Those guys have standout qualities. Like Shakur Stevenson is a real slick, real well-schooled boxer. That's a well-schooled boxer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he does everything right, man. That's for sure. And not to mention with Stevenson, you have that X factor in the speed.
Yeah.
You got that speed in there. You got, he's got a lot of, he doesn't have the power. And I don't think he's going to develop that power. I mean, power is either you got it or you don't. But the speed can create that. The speed can create those knockouts and everything like that. But
featherweight's a tough division.
Stacked
division.
It's stacked, man. All right, let's go to the phones here real quick. 530. This is Robert. Robert, what's happening?
Hello, guys. That was a decent Fox card, but and I know you guys want to see a possible rematch with Pascal and Browne. I don't. I think John should just walk off into the sunset. Nice way to end his career. If I was Marcus Browne's people, I'd go, wait a minute, I went from Badu Jack, destroying him, and my next title defense is against John Pascal. What did John Pascal do in the recent past in the last couple of fights to earn a title shot? That would be my question.
Well, I don't think John Pascal was his mandatory or anything like that. I think it was a voluntary.
It was a showcase.
John Pascal's got a name. It was a
showcase fight gone wrong, really.
Yeah.
Yes, squash match gone wrong.
Beeb, you're absolutely right. I don't know. I'm sure they're going to do the rematch, but I frankly don't want to see it because we'll probably see the result in the rematch that we should have saw last night. Browne is younger. you know, and things like that. But this gives Marcus Browne a chance to go back to the gym, look at the tape, and see the mistakes that he made. You know, because let's face it, if you're not prepared for John Pascal, he will do what he did last night. He'll walk in and he'll take your belt and take your title, and you know, I don't know. I don't know if Browne was really prepared for what he saw last night. And I got to say the same thing about Curtis Stevens. Curtis Stevens went down to 154, and he fought at 160 for, I think, his entire career, if I'm not
168
mistaken.
too. He was high as 168
awful last night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He fought at 168.
He looked absolutely awful last night. I don't know. I think we saw a case where three fighters, Chris Arreola, Pascal, and Curtis Stevens, they all probably need to think about what they're going to do in their futures, because
Robbie retired.
You know, and I think, especially Marcus Browne, I think this is a good learning lesson for him. You can't take anybody lightly in the boxing business, and hopefully he learns something from this.
Yeah, I think that's, you know, for Marcus Browne, going back to the drawing board should be easy. I mean, he was caught, with basically one shot that really got him. And he was caught repeatedly with that same shot, So I would think that, going back to the drawing board, his coaches and everything, when they go to take a look at this, it should be pretty easy to correct that. But you got to wonder, is this a flaw that he's had all along, or was this a flaw last night? I don't know. I haven't watched that much, I haven't really studied it, so I couldn't tell you.
Well, I guarantee you other light heavyweights are going to pay attention to what happened last night. And especially if they have a future possible date with Mr. Browne, they're going to pay attention to what Pascal did. And if they can pull off what Pascal did, they're going to try and do the same kind of stuff. Because, I'm not going to say he was exposed, but maybe we saw a weakness that Marcus Browne has, and other fighters are going to be able to take advantage of it.
Well, the other thing we need to keep in mind, too, is that he lost a technical decision. It wasn't like he was knocked out. It wasn't like he was carried out of there or lost on points. I mean, he lost on points, but it was a technical decision.
I wasn't saying that at all, Eric.
Yeah. No, but that's what I'm saying, though, is that before we write him off, or say he was exposed or whatever, again, it's one fight, it's one, Thank you very much to D-Style Boxing. He said support the channel and hit the like button. Close enough. 30 likes and goal in under 10 minutes. We love it. Love it.
So, and what do you think the future is, guys, for Adam Kownacki? I thought he was bigger than what he actually is. Being a 6'3" heavyweight these days may not get it done in the heavyweight division with the only small heavyweight that has been successful recently is Andy Ruiz. And, I wonder what Kownacki's future is, because you ran down all the possible fights, and I like all the fights that you mentioned, but let's face it, they're grooming him to be a future Wilder opponent, and I think Deontay Wilder totally destroys him. If you are going to make decisions for Adam Kownacki, what's his future now in the heavyweight division? Because I don't see him being able to compete with the Furies, the Wilders, or the Joshuas. So, do you find enough heavyweights out there that are close to his size that he can be competitive with?
Yeah, I think so. And I think, what about Joseph Parker? Joseph Parker's not that big, is he? Is he that tall? How tall is Joseph?
No, he's not. No, he's not.
He's 6 foot, right?
6'4".
Yeah.
Oh, he's 6 foot. Really? I didn't think he was that tall.
6'4". Dillian Whyte's 6'3".
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
6'3" is a good size heavyweight. I mean, it's not like he's short or anything like that. 6'3" is a good size heavyweight. He's 266 pounds. But my bigger issue is that, I think he would get clipped by one of Wilder's right hands. I don't think he can compete with. I don't think he could beat Anthony Joshua. I don't know that he beats Ruiz.
Nope.
It's just limited. He can make a lot of money, but I think that, obviously, listen, if I'm PBC, I keep him in the running. He's got, he's right there. They keep him they keep him fresh in case Wilder needs an opponent. I mean, he's right there.
Right.
Why not?
Right. I don't know. Just a few things I came away with. And look, I agree with you. Wilder was bad on the microphone, but, he admitted several times last night. He said, hey, look, I'm going to mess up these names. He was flat out honest about it. So, hey, as long as the guy can admit that, hey, I'm going to be bad at this, I don't mind it at all.
That's true. That's true. There you go.
I mean, how many boxing analysts do you know that will flat out say on air, look, I may not get this right, but I'm going to do the best I can,
Well, I don't think any, because they wouldn't hire him. So, I mean, he just happens to be heavyweight champion of the world, so he's somewhat qualified to get on there and talk about fights.
I know, but I don't mind that. I mean, and I agree with you. He's better, talking to after the fights are over with. But you know what? I didn't mind it last night, and if they want to do that once in a while, I don't have an issue with that.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
All right, Robbie, we're gonna get running here, man. Hey, tell them where to find your
where to
find your podcast. Okay. Hang on. All right, there you go. You're all set.
Okay. Well, I'm doing 2 different podcasts now on a station called the Worldwide Legend. It's an internet radio station. They specialize in oldies music, 60s, 70s, 80s, and stuff like that, all different genres. But on Thursday night from 6:30 to 8 o'clock, we do a podcast called All Things Radio. They've been doing it for a while. We talk about things that are happening in radio and all over the country, and talking about what radio stations are doing and what the companies are doing. And then on Sunday nights at 8 o'clock, from 8 to 9 Eastern Time, we do a sports roundtable. We talk about the different things going on in sports, like football and baseball and what's happening around the sports world. So if you guys want to listen, you can go to Worldwide Legend website. I think it's worldwidelegend.com, and they've got a podcast page. You can download the various episodes of Sports Lounge Live or All Things Radio, and you can hear the kind of stuff that we do.
All right. Sounds good, man. All right, man. We will talk to you soon.
Okay, see ya.
All right. So there you go. If you need a Robbie fix, there it is. Let's see here. JUK21, thank you so much. He says, keep it up, guys. He says, Beeb, what do you make of the Dillian Whyte situation? And, if there's so much slippery antics, I would agree with that. And Beeb actually made videos on this.
Yeah.
Anything to add?
Well, it seems like they're moving slow, as usual, which UK's customarily done over the years in many situations. And they're all hush-hush about it, so I'm skeptical about the whole thing. And I hate to say this, but, Eddie Hearn likes to complain about guilty before proven innocent. Well, the way this is being handled it's not the greatest thing in the world right now. So it's hard to give Dillian Whyte the benefit of the doubt right now because so much is being kept from us. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Not only that, we have the glove situation as well. So right now, I'm skeptical. And plus, Dillian Whyte does have the past. He has a history of testing positive before. He's banned for 2 years before. So this isn't a normal situation. This is like, I don't know. This doesn't look good right now for Dillian Whyte, in my opinion.
That's a tough one to get past.
Yeah.
The fact that he's tested positive before. If this was his first time, that's a different animal. This is a tough one to get past, man.
And it seems like he's going to use the same excuse, the supplement thing. That's what they all use.
What else is there?
Like when I go to the doctors, when I go to the doctors, any doctor I go to, the first question they ask me, what are you taking right now?
Right. 100%.
When you sign up for testing, they give you a piece of paper. They tell you, put everything on this paper that you're taking right now. And it always seems that there's something that doesn't get put on that paper that supposedly the fighter takes, and they forgot to put, and the excuse is, oh, I forgot to put it on, or I just started taking it after I filled it out. Whatever. There's always an excuse. The dog ate my homework. Bullshit. So,
Yeah.
what am I gonna do?
Yep. Thank you so much to Manny Gatillo, man. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much, brother. He says, hit the like button for Breaking 2 Electric Boogaloo. So there you go. Very good stuff. Thank you so much, man. We can't tell you how much we appreciate it. All right, let's see here. I think that was the fights for the weekend. Well, no, there was one more that was not televised. I thought you guys would be interested in. Julius Ndongo versus Tay Jones. Julius Ndongo wins via second-round stoppage of Tay Jones. And in case you're wondering, I didn't see it. I don't think anybody saw it except the people in the arena. It was non-televised. And, I was going to go look it up on YouTube, but, I had better things to do than to watch Julius Ndongo knock out somebody named Tay Jones. So there you go. All right, let's talk about the up-and-coming fights here. Let's see what we got. Today is August 4th. All right, August 9th. Let's see what we got August 9th. Nothing on TV. All right, August 10th. In Philadelphia on ESPN Plus, Carl Frampton versus Emmanuel Dominguez. 10 rounds, featherweights. On the undercard, Jason Sosa versus Haskell Liddell Rhodes. 10 rounds, junior lightweights. This is interesting, man, and I'm going to tune in just for this. Robesy Ramirez versus Adam Gonzalez, 4 rounds, featherweights. If you don't know who Robesy Ramirez is, he's the guy that beat Shakur Stevenson in the gold medal round of the Olympics. The fight was close. Shakur had a chance, and Robesy turned it on in that last round and beat him.
Yeah.
So he's making his pro debut. I believe this is his pro debut here. And I'm real anxious to see him. I really want to see how he looks. I really want to see. That's an interesting fight for me. Also, on August 10th, from Grant Prairie, Texas, on DAZN, Virgil Ortiz Jr. versus Antonio Orozco, 10 rounds welterweights. Joshua Franco versus Oscar Negrete, their third fight. 10 rounds bantamweights. Yeah, Golden Boy special. Beeb, we have some incredible news. News that you're going to want to hear. News that everybody's going to want to hear. August 10th. This is the weekend. Mark it down, baby. San Juan de los Lagos, Mexico. Beeb, it's time. The return of Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. He faces Everett Bravo, 10 rounds, light heavyweights. Beeb, tell me you're not excited about that.
Make sure I clear out my calendar for that.
Right?
Absolutely.
Right?
Any events that are scheduled that day? Any parties? Any?
It all goes by the way.
Not happening.
Now, this fight isn't televised. Doesn't have a television. Doesn't have any no television yet. So if it does, we'll make sure to keep you posted. It's probably in a warehouse or a high school somewhere.
Is he still with PBC?
I doubt it. I don't know. I doubt it, but I don't know. Let's see what else here. That's it. Wow. That's it.
September should be a good month, though. We got.
What do they say? The dog days of summer.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And we never had that fight with Canelo. We never had Golovkin. The zone had a good fight last week with Ramirez and Hooker, but what's coming up down the pike now?
24th. The Kovalev fight's on the 24th.
Oh, Kovalev and Yard. That's going to be on DAZN.
Yeah, that's the fight.
That's on DAZN.
I think that's going to be the fight of the month. I think it's on ESPN.
That's on ESPN. I'm talking about the zone. That they're starting to fizzle out now with their schedule again. They had a
right. You notice that?
That's going to be on ESPN. I'm thinking because that's
Golden Boy. Got that Golden Boy special this weekend. Yeah, let me see what's on. Let me see what's past that here. Let me check this real quick.
The PBC is going to be finishing strong. They're going to have Durrell versus versus Benavidez. Going to have Porter versus Spence.
Yeah, that's the fight right there. Now, Tim Tszyu, August 14th, Tim Tszyu fights Dwight Ritchie, but again, that's in Australia. We're not going to have any coverage. Let me see what else we got here. Big fights, anything big? Biggest fight we got coming up, it looks like that Kovalev fight, Kovalev Yard.
Yeah, that's it. And is that ESPN or ESPN Plus?
That's, you know what? ESPN Plus. Wow, that's on ESPN Plus. I think probably because it's in Russia.
Yeah.
So the time difference or whatever. And then now DAZN's got a good card on August 24th. They got Juan Francisco Estrada versus Dwayne Beeman, 12 rounds, and Filip Ergovic versus Mario Heredia, 10 rounds heavyweight.
That's an okay card. It's not great.
It's not great at all. It's a good. That's
so
the top fights.
There hasn't been consistency right now with DAZN.
No. Fight Pass doing a lot of Roy Jones. Now, August 31st, that's going to be the fight. You got Vasil Lomachenko versus Luke Campbell.
That's a good one.
That's going to be the fight. Huey Fury versus Alexander Povetkin in the PED Bowl. Charlie Edwards versus Julio Cesar Martinez for Edwards' WBC title. That's a good card. That's a real good card. I'm not hating on that. Yeah. September's where it's going to be at, though.
Yeah, September's a good
September's where
fight.
It's going to be. So, yeah, man, that should be good. Let's see here. Let's talk about this before we go back to the phones here. Let's talk about this. This is the big news this week. Give me 1 second. Yeah, your boy Canelo Alvarez in the news, man. This was, I tell you what, man, it's not looking good for Golden Boy here, man. This is pretty crazy. So, Canelo Alvarez got stripped of the IBF title this week. The IBF gave an extension to Canelo and Golden Boy to get the fight done with Sergey Derevyanchenko. Fight didn't get done because of money. It looked like Derevyanchenko wanted $7.5 million. I think they offered him $5 million. You know, that's a pretty big difference. That's not just chump change there. You're looking at $1.5 million right there, $2.5 million. If the fight went to purse bid, it was my understanding that Derevyanchenko would get 35%. And I'm assuming that's the IBF rules that he would get 35%, because I always thought it was 75-25, but a different organization.
Well, I guess if you travel and you fight in the other guy's backyard or whatever, I think you get more.
Yeah. Why not?
From what I was told.
It's a big move. Deal couldn't get done, so the IBF has decided to strip Canelo of the title, and he will probably order. They actually already ordered Triple G versus Derevyanchenko. The news didn't sit well with Canelo, who claims he knew nothing about this. This is where it gets dicey. Both Canelo and Oscar took to social media. Canelo said afterwards on social media, he said, quote, "I'm very upset and ashamed, along with my fans, to have been unfairly stripped of my belt by the IBF, especially when I did not have knowledge of the agreement that Golden Boy Matchmaker had signed." He said, he then came out and said again, he said, "I'm very upset and sorry for my fans having been fairly stripped of my belt, but especially because I was never aware of the agreement signed by Golden Boy Matchmaker. For my part, I will continue as usual with discipline and desire to continue winning." De La Hoya came out and said, "I stand by every single one of my soldiers during battle. Roberto Diaz is the best matchmaker in the business. Golden Boy has been the best and top promoter for a reason. It's called loyalty, hard work, and intelligence, and family." Incidentally, Triple G and Sergey Derevyanchenko have already agreed to fight for the now vacant title. So they will fight probably in October or something like that. Beeb, this is a tough one, man. This is a real tough one. And I believe that Canelo knew nothing about this. I really do. I just have that hunch. Whether he did or didn't, I kind of fall on the side of Canelo here. You know, listen, your promoter loses your title for you. There was already rumblings that he was unhappy with the deal. There was already rumblings he was, the rumor was that he was really ticked off that apparently Golden Boy, from an article I read, Golden Boy had already promised, and again, this is all rumors, so Golden Boy had promised DAZN to deliver the Triple G fight, the Triple G Canelo fight, okay? So they kind of promised that. They didn't let Canelo know that. Canelo said he doesn't want to fight him again. didn't want to fight him again. So he was pretty ticked off when this whole thing took place. You know, I don't know where the whole Canelo thing lies. Does it lie with John Skipper? Does it lie with De La Hoya? Does it lie with Canelo himself? I don't know.
Well,
but this is turning into a big mess. Big mess, man. Joe, what are your thoughts on this?
I blame John Skipper 150%. And my problem with the whole thing, and I mentioned it beforehand, and again, I'm not Nostradamus. I just look at what's in front of me, and I make an assessment on the situation, and I give my opinion on it. If you're going to make a deal with somebody, you're going to give them copious amounts of money for each fight, and you have no say in who they fight, and you're locked into a deal. And I brought this up to Steve Kim, and I said, Steve, was this a smart thing, locking these guys into these deals, you know, and basically guaranteeing them certain amounts of money or whatever? And he said, well, it's not that long if you think about it. It's, 2 fights. It is kind of long, though, if you think about it, because it's 11 fights. Divide that by 2. That's 5.5 years they got to deal with this guy. So each and every time they try to put a fight together, this is going to happen. And the stupidity of it all is they signed both of these guys, Canelo and Golovkin, because they wanted a third fight. And for Canelo to think that that's not what they wanted and that's why they signed both of them is a little bit naive on his part.
He knew.
So did he lead them to believe right off the bat when they were negotiating in the beginning that he wasn't going to? Did he say right then and there, I refuse to fight Golovkin? Or did he pull a fast one on them and flip the script on them? Either way, if I'm John Skipper, I'm putting that in the contract, just like the contract they had for Deontay Wilder. Supposedly, the Joshua fight was supposed to be part of the package, so they say. But now based off of what I'm seeing here, would that have even been guaranteed? So if you're not putting any types of stipulations and contingencies on these deals, and it's just the fighter can do it, and I'm all for the fighter. Don't get me wrong. I want the fighter to make as much money as he can. But if you're not doing your due diligence as a representative of your company when you're putting these deals together, and you're not trying to put in the contract that one of these fights has to be Golovkin, then I blame John Skipper for that. Because you gave this guy Canelo a lot of money. It's guaranteed. And I don't know how it's going to be dispersed depending upon who he fights. They can disperse it however they want. It seems, because the purses aren't the same for every fight. So basically, they'll give him $40 million for. I guess they gave him $35 million for Jacobs. They were going to give him $30 million for Derevyanchenko, and he got $15 million for Rocky Fielding. So they could disperse this $365 whoever they want, but they're not going to put up the big money for the smaller fights. Now, I don't know if he wasn't happy with the Derevyanchenko $30 million. Did he want 35 like he got for Jacobs? I don't know. But something broke down here, and it seems like John Skipper put himself in a situation where he doesn't have the leverage that he should have in a situation like this. Because I'm all for the fighter negotiating and speaking his piece or whatever. But for Canelo to not think that he was signed to put this fight together with Golovkin, for him to not think that, and for him to all of a sudden say, I'm not fighting this guy now, where before he said he would, now all of a sudden he doesn't want to fight him. This is all kind of Bush League stuff to me. But regardless of all that, you don't do handshake deals in boxing. You don't do deals based on assumptions. Okay? You should have locked it in this contract that you do have some say in the opponents. And apparently they don't. Now they can refuse fights, but so can Canelo. So it's not like a situation with HBO where they would sign guys to deals like 2-fight deals, 3-fight deals, sometimes 4-fight deals, but they would have a say in who the guy fights. And if they didn't like the opponent, then they wouldn't televise the fight. Now, how do they work this out with Canelo with the zone? Now they're saying they'll approve Kovalev, they'll approve Andre. Okay, so what happens after those 2 fights? Is it going to be this nip and tuck battle every time you're trying to put a fight on of Canelo's? Is it worth the aggravation? That's what you have to ask yourself. But I blame John Skipper for not having the ability, putting into the contract, having the ability to have a say in who Canelo fights.
I tell you what, I do think that Canelo is being a little bit of a baby in this because, and to your point, Beeb, when you said that, when they offered him the money and they offered him the contract, did he ever say, I'm not going to fight Triple G for a 3rd time? Did he ever say that? Did he ever?
I doubt that.
Listen, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Let me ask you a question. Sure. If you're negotiating a deal for $350 million,
365.
365, yeah, $365 million. What would you say anything to close that deal for $365 million?
Well,
I would say anything.
Well, it's just like
close, just about anything you want to hear.
Well, this is the thing.
If I close that deal,
this is the thing.
I'll tell you anything for $365.
It's just like when you start a job, you go through orientation, and they give you a job description, and they make you read the job description, and they make you sign it. Now, did Canelo get a job description here when he was offered this job, meaning the contract, in other words?
Right. Well,
apparently not. So
that's a good point too. Yeah. You have to know what's expected.
Yeah,
if you want to do a job, you got to know what's expected of you.
There was nothing laid out here. It seems again from
right.
You have to assume this because why are we where we're at right now?
Right. Exactly.
We wouldn't be where we're at right now if all these things were ironed out prior, right?
Yep.
So you have to blame the guy, John Skipper, who again was fired from ESPN because I hate to say this, but he wasn't really good at his job.
Well, what do we say? We lost how many subscribers while he was there? He lost a ton of subscribers. They laid off 500 people or something crazy.
Big substance abuse problem. Having it affect his work and doing it, on the job as well, from what I understand. This guy's background and his track record.
Sure.
Is this the guy you want in a position of authority if you're running a company?
It's interesting. It's interesting that they chose him for sure. But I think the more interesting thing to me is, like I said, with that $365 million, I couldn't sign fast enough. So I'm going to tell you anything. But so in that contract, and DAZN said, well, hey, look, these are the approved. Kovalev. There was somebody else on that list. Kovalev. Who else was on that list? Andrade, and there was Triple G. Those are the 3 people we're going to approve. So he ends up fighting he wants to fight Derevyanchenko. Clearly, you approve that, so your word is nothing. Then, if they were, what they should have done is like how HBO used to do it. Hey, listen, these are the approved fighters. If you're not going to fight it, you're not going to fight on it. You can fight. Listen, you can fight anybody you want, but we're not going to honor those fights on our.
We're not going to televise it.
You may have a 3-fight contract with us, man, but we're not going to put that on.
But here,
you can go fight him in Mexico or wherever you want to fight him. We're not going to put it on.
But here's what happened. Canelo's not stupid. Canelo reads the press clippings. He knows that his fights are the highest watched fights on DAZN. He knows he's the flagship fighter. He knows this. So now he's trying to flex his muscle and use some leverage on them. Because, let's be honest, they need him a lot more than he needs them. Because if they get rid of him tomorrow, ESPN would sign him in a second.
Yeah.
ESPN would sign him in a New York minute.
Hey, listen, I'm not so sure that.
And if Canelo was gone, the zone would be trash.
Yeah,
it'd be trash. Then Canelo is the key to subscriptions. When Canelo
he
fought Jacobs, look at the spike in subscriptions. Look at the amount of people that watched that fight compared to all the other fights. So he's got them by the balls.
He's the cash cow over there, no question.
He's got them by the balls.
HBO got to keep him happy.
HBO didn't give a fuck. You know why? I got one sentence to tell you. Because they had Game of Thrones, they didn't give a fuck. They had Sopranos. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
They had Oz. They had all these fucking subscriptions. Boxing wasn't their thing. So they didn't give a fuck. They could tell you to go fuck yourself. Right. And they ended up telling, I can't swear too much because the YouTube won't monetize this video. Excuse me, YouTube. So HBO told them to go biff themselves, right? And they basically told the boxing business to go biff themselves.
Right.
So the Zone's not in that same position right now. The Zone needs boxing, and the Zone needs Canelo. And Canelo knows all these things. So what's Canelo doing? He's
pulling a power play.
He's pulling a power play.
Yeah. What about Oscar De La Hoya's culpability in all this? I mean, he seems to have, the fact that his matchmaker let this go without, Canelo's knowledge. According to Canelo, without his knowledge that this thing went by the wayside and he lost his belt. Canelo's got to be furious right now with De La Hoya.
De La Hoya is like that guy, all right, that's talking to you got a guy, right, that likes a girl. And there's a mutual friend between you. There's a guy that you know that knows the girl and talks to the girl, whatever.
Yes. Yeah.
And the guy talks to the guy too. So the guy's like, tells the guy, "Oh, she loves you. Don't worry about it. I can hook you up with her in a second. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it." And he's like, "I talked to her already. She loves you." You never talked to her, right? So he's basically playing both sides here, De La Hoya.
Right.
He's trying to make the Zone happy. He's trying to make Canelo happy. All right. So you have to ask yourself, Golden Boy's in the position too, where Canelo's got them by the ball, got Golden Boy by the balls too, because without Canelo, Golden Boy's nothing. So Golden Boy should know better, and they should treat Canelo better. At least communicate with them. Now, if you don't like what Canelo's doing right now, if you're pissed off that he's not fighting Triple G, now they were the ones that said that they were like, "Oh, Triple G doesn't deserve a fight. Let him get a belt first." They were all in that campaign right now.
Yep.
They were all on board with that with Canelo. We got tweets to prove it from Oscar De La Hoya. Right?
And he's not playing the right game. I mean, he's got to, listen, man, he's getting the money from DAZN and all that other good stuff. He's got to play that game, and he's got to keep Canelo happy. So putting that stuff about Triple G and this and that, that's not doing him any favors,
So if Oscar De La Hoya was doing his job, he needs to tell Canelo what the Zone is telling him and what the Zone wants, instead of not telling him. Canelo needs to be brought in the loop here.
Yeah, he really does.
And apparently he's not.
Yeah.
This is the difference. This is the difference between how these guys do business and how Heyman does business with his fighters. Because Al Heyman, from what we've been told by the fighters, tells them everything. Lets them know what all their options are. This is this, and this, blah, 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 blah. And that's that. There's no fucking greasy kid stuff when it comes to Al Heyman when he talks to the fighters. Yeah. Why? Because he's an advisor. It's his best interest to do what's best for the fighter. These guys are doing what's in their best interest for themselves. All De La Hoya cares about is his promotional company, and all the Zone cares about is subscribers.
Right.
And all Canelo cares about is getting paid. So there's got to be some type of common ground here, and it doesn't seem like there is one right now. And that's the problem.
Yeah. And, speaking of Golden Boy, so they have, I think we'd all agree that, Canelo obviously is their guy.
Oh, so they have.
Money guy.
Oh, so they have.
But who has, their next up-and-coming star, Ryan Garcia. He's the next guy. I mean, he's the next, guy they're grooming or whatever.
He is away.
Years away, yeah, for sure. But he's already upset with the promotion.
Yeah.
If the Canelo situation wasn't enough for a Golden Boy, man, Ryan Garcia lashed out on social media with the following, man. Garcia said, quote, "To all my fans, yes, I was supposed to fight Romero Duno in September. I decided to not go with that because I wanted to fight him as a main event in November and not be some co-main event on a card that will be driven by me. I also elected to fight the guy that gave Duno problems for September. The bottom line is I deserve the right promotion for my fights with full time to promote and not be thrown into a fight and have myself do the promotion as well. Knowing my fan base, they will tune in no matter what, but I deserve to have full promotion for the fight with Duno." You know what? He's right. He's 100% right. Now, whether you believe he's the main eventer or not, whatever. But listen, he's paying Golden Boy to promote him. They need to promote him. That's the point. You know what I mean? That's what you pay promoters to do. When you're out doing promotion and everything, I get that. You're promoting yourself. But you also got to, hey, listen, man, Golden Boy's got to step up the... All I hear, when you think about Golden Boy, you hear about Canelo. And then you watch these cards that they put out where Canelo's not on them, and they're not great. Let me tell you what, they're not great by any stretch of the imagination.
No,
they're doing good, man.
I haven't been impressed with a Golden Boy card in a long time.
Long time. I mean, we're talking, unless it's a Canelo card, unless Canelo's on it, But if you're talking about those regular Golden Boy specials, man, they're terrible. They're terrible.
Sorry to say, I'm not even sorry to say. Why should I be sorry to say? PBC is killing it this year, even with the pay-per-views.
They are. Now, I don't like the pay-per-views. I mean, but I'm not a pay-per-view fan. Obviously, I don't want to pay you to watch fights. But that being said, listen, man, I mean, the cards on the PBC have been stacked. The pay-per-views have been really good. But I always like the free fights for all. Remember that? Hashtag free fights for all or whatever the tagline. Whatever happened to that? They completely...
it seems like they're going against the grain on purpose just to counteract what these apps are doing.
Yeah.
Trying to. It's almost like they're trying to prove to the apps that pay-per-view is not dead because we're doing it.
It's insane. All right, let's go back to the phones. 480, you're live.
Hey, what's going on, fellas? It's Brandon from Phoenix. How you guys doing?
Brandon, how are you?
How you doing, buddy?
I'm all right, man. Hanging in there, man. Just listening to the show, man. I had to call in, man, and talk about my guy, Johnny Pascal, man, pulling the big upset. It was,
did you pick him to win?
It was real exciting, man. I mean, no, hell no.
I thought he was going to pull a Corey. I thought he was going to pull a Corey and say, pull a Corey. I had him.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's going to kill me when he hears this.
The funny thing was that the last time I saw Pascal fight was the what's that that Egyptian guy that PBC has? I can't remember his name right now.
El-Bialy?
When he beat that guy. Yeah. Remember he beat that guy on like the toe-to-toe Tuesday card or some shit.
Yeah.
And that was the last performance I saw, and he still looked pretty shot to me. But, last night, man, it looked like he had a little bit more in the tank. He looked a little bit sharper, which isn't hard to do than, what he looked against when he fought Alvarez back in those days. But, it was good to see, man. Marcus Browne is the type of fighter who, when I first started watching boxing, I would have thought was just going to be that guy. And to me, and I noticed this a few fights back, but to me, Marcus Browne is kind of like Andre Dirrell 2.0. What do you guys think about that?
I don't know. I think it's a little early to say that. I really do. I think it's a little early. Again, I'd be real curious to see if that's a flaw, if that's a flaw he's always had, or was that a flaw for that night? You know what I mean? I don't know. I think it's a little bit early to draw the curtain on him just yet. Because, all in all, he was doing well in the fight.
I'm not throwing the curtain on him. I'm just saying that.
Yeah.
I'm not throwing him out in the garbage. But what I'm saying is that he just has a lot of showy kind of talent. The quick reflexes, the long arms. But when he steps up to that next level of competition, I just don't think he has enough variety in his game that's going to allow him to, prevail against guys like the B-Balls, the better Beeb.
I know what he's saying.
And,
doesn't have any dog in him.
What's the other
doesn't
guy?
have any dog in him. Doesn't have any dog in him.
Yeah.
I got you.
To me, and this is the third time I've seen him basically out on his feet, or I should say, well, did he get knocked down against Hot Rod in that fight he probably should have lost way back when? Or was he just hurt really bad?
I can't remember.
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. But I know he was basically out on his feet for a good portion of the middle of that fight. And then, let's not forget that he tasted the canvas against that, what was the guy's name, Castillo or something like that. That counterpuncher who was kind of, real cagey. He didn't throw too many punches, but he caught him with a right hand or something like that while he was coming in or out. He tasted the canvas then. And then now against Pascal. So I just think his chin probably isn't up to snuff, and he doesn't have any inside game. And to me, he doesn't use his jab enough. I mean, for as athletic and as long as he doesn't consistently use his jab. He used it a little bit, kind of like in the fourth round or something like that against Pascal. But normally he doesn't really set up his offense really well with his jab. So I don't know. I mean, it was just real exciting. It was an exciting fight. That's all I can say, man. And then Curtis Stevens, I think it's time to hang it up. I think it's over. I've never known Wale, almost lucky boy, to be a puncher. And every time he touched Curtis was tasting the canvas.
When you got a guy 34 years old moving down in weight, and if you look at history, you look at Roy Jones moved up and tried to move back down. Chris Bird went from heavyweight to light heavyweight. He went as far as light heavyweight. Go down the list. Like Sugar Ray Leonard went back down to junior middleweight to fight friggin' Terry Norris. Like all these guys that drop down in weight, it always ends bad for you. Like this is a guy in his 30s who fought as high as 168 pounds, trying to fight at 154. That was an eye opener to me. And again, he looked ripped, he looked conditioned, he looked good. But sometimes you can look good and not feel good. You can look good and not be effective. I mean, you look good on the beach, but let's go run a game of a one-on-one or something. Let's go in the weight room. Let's see how much weight you can push. Let's go do some type of exercise. And just because you look good doesn't mean you feel good. So I know he's only 5'7", but he's a stocky guy. He's 34 years old. He's got that man strength. I was shocked to see him move down to 154. I was shocked.
I agree with you, Beeb. Like you said, he looked shredded. He's always been a real stocky guy. I mean, he's a career 160-pounder. It just, I just think it's time to hang it up. Maybe he didn't train hard enough. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it was just kind of like a fat camp. He was just trying to cut the weight, and he just didn't rehydrate himself properly. But when a guy like Lucky Boy is just, putting you out like that, something's not right. Something's just not right. Before I go, I got one more question for you guys. Your early thoughts on Kovalev Yard right now. I'm very intrigued by this fight. I've been watching Yard for a while, but he's one of these guys who I've never seen him step up or really fight anybody. So it's very hard for me to gauge what he's going to do against Kovalev. But I do think his power is real, and I do think he has some athleticism. But I don't know if he's got enough of a jab and enough tools to go in there and take Kovalev out. What do you guys think?
I like Kovalev in that fight, and everyone I'm talking to likes Yard. And I don't think Yard has the style. I mean, he's a good puncher, he's athletic, but like you said, hasn't really stepped up, number one. And number two, his defense isn't the greatest. And number three, he's a mid-range guy. Guys that give Kovalev problems are the guys that get in your chest and they fight on the inside. Not that many guys in this division have that style to do that. So people think Kovalev's washed right now. I don't think he's washed right now. I think when his mind's right and he decides, I think he looked like, to me, he reinvented himself in that second Alvarez fight. And he actually just boxed, and he wasn't worried about getting the knockout. And he looked to just box. So I think if he sheds that crusher label and just tries to change up his style like a lot of fighters do as they get older. A la Bernard Hopkins. Bernard Hopkins wasn't the executioner anymore. He turned into the alien and became more of a boxer instead of a knockout artist as he got older. I think if Kovalev does the same thing, then I think he boxes Yard's ears off, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. I don't think Kovalev's washed. I just think he needs to be focused and he needs to fight the right fight. I think there's still a lot of skills left in Kovalev's game. He's an outstanding fighter from the outside. He's got a real tricky jab from the outside. And he's just a really, really precise, accurate, sharp puncher when he's on. And I see a guy like Yard who's a wide swinger. It's a little bit fat with his punches. A guy that kind of sometimes gets lulled into his own power, falls in love with his own power, throws one punch at a time sometimes. And like you said, not consistent with his jab. I think the more experienced, the better all-around skilled boxer like Kovalev, I think if he's on, I think he'll win a decision.
I think that to me it's a close fight. I don't think it's just cut and dry. There's a lot of, when you talk about Kovalev anymore, there's so many intangibles that you got to talk about.
Sure.
None of them are in the ring. Sure. We'll talk about, his trouble this week later. But, when he goes back to Russia, he seems to have problems. He just does, and he's always one of those guys that, like, everybody says, well, if his mind's right, if he's there, he's going to do well. Remember how we were talking about Keith Thurman the other time, a couple of weeks ago, and saying, if his mind's right and he's the right guy, he's going to do well in this fight. And I think Kovalev is a lot like that, where, if his mind's right, he should win this fight. But I'm not 100% sure. And I go back to that Chilemba fight back when he fought him in Russia. He was supposed to walk right over Chilemba going into that Ward fight, and he didn't do it. Not even close, man. That was a close fight.
But
Close fight.
But I think he realizes now that his back's up against the wall. If he loses now, it's over. I don't think he ever had that mentality before. You could be right. Don't get me wrong, but I think right now this is his last chance.
But then why, if this is his last chance? I mean, we kind of go back to we'll talk about the incident that happened this week. He was just charged last year in 2018 for sexual advances and stuff like that. I don't think that enters his mind. You know what I mean? I don't know that and then he fires, his trainer and picks up another trainer who's like, I guess the Russian guy, I guess it was.
He's got Buddy McGirt now.
Oh, does he got Buddy McGirt?
Yeah, Buddy McGirt for the rematch with Alvarez, and I think I think he's got a good trainer right now, and I think he's got the boxing aspect now. I'm going to say something very controversial, and this is hard, and this does not excuse the behavior one bit. I think Kovalev, is used to behaving that way and getting away with it because maybe that's the where he's from, coming up in the environment he came up in. He was allowed to do those things and get away with it. Now, maybe he doesn't realize that these things are wrong. He should realize these things are wrong, but maybe it's just instilled in his mind that he can do these things and it's okay. Like, for instance, you got a guy like Kubrat Pulev who kissed that lady and didn't think nothing of it and actually downplayed it. Now, again, we all know her story, but two wrongs don't make a right.
Right.
So maybe it's just, he thinks that what he's doing is really not that big of a deal, but it is, which doesn't excuse it. So I don't know if that in itself carries over to the boxing. But there is a problem when he does go back home. He likes to drink and party and do that shit. Now, if that's not in check, forget about it. It's game over. That's a valid point from you as well. But let's see how this all plays out. I don't know, but I'm kind of betting that Buddy McGirt will have him ready for this fight.
Well, you kind of wonder, and I forgot he picked up Buddy McGirt. Now he picked him up for what, the second or lighter, the rematch, right?
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
McGirt did a great job in the corner with him too.
He really did, and he seemed to make a difference because he was a different fighter in that second fight.
I like Buddy McGirt.
I do too. So, all right, Brandon, we're going to get running, man. We appreciate you calling.
Thanks, Brandon.
Let's see what else here. Also, too, before we get to our train wreck of the week, Andy Ruiz was on Joe Rogan this week. And if you guys haven't caught that, Beeb, it's worth a listen, right?
Oh, it's great. It was a great interview. Had him for like an hour and some change, hour and 15 minutes or so.
Yeah, and I mean, Andy Ruiz, I talked to Andy Ruiz about a lot of stuff, man. Andy Ruiz said in the interview that the fight will not be in the UK. He told Joe Rogan off air where the fight was going to be, so he knows where it's going to be. But obviously they couldn't disclose this because it wasn't announced. The smart money says the fight will be right back in New York City. That's my guess anyway.
He said it was going to, not to cut you off, but he said it was going to be in a neutral site. What would be a neutral site? I don't know.
Unless he's figuring the United States is a neutral site. I don't know.
That's crazy. I don't know.
You know.
Sorry to interrupt you. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's fine, but that is odd. I mean, what is a neutral site?
That's what
Where do you think the fight takes
place? Unless somebody in Dubai put up some cash. I don't know, man. Saudi Arabia or some shit.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Going back to Iceland or something like that, you know. I don't know. He also said in the interview that the fight will be announced very soon. He said that he is fighting Joshua next. That's a given. The fight will be announced very soon, and it will take place in December. So that fight should be announced in the next couple of weeks, it sounds like. But it sounds like it sounds like to me, according to that interview, they had everything ironed out, all the details as far as. So,
but like I said, everyone was like, "Well,
Eddie's going to take place." You know,
everyone was like, "Eddie's got the final say," which he probably does, but the other guy still has to sign the contract, and I don't think it would have been good for anyone to have this thing dragged out in a court battle.
No.
I think it would have been worse for Joshua and Hearn because once again the belts would have gotten fractured, and then they would have been back to square one, and they would have had to start all over again. So,
well, you know, I mean, obviously Ruiz isn't scared to fight him again, isn't scared to fight Joshua. I think he'd rather fight Wilder to become undisputed, to get an undisputed title. But I honestly, my gut tells me he doesn't care if he fights Joshua again or not. I don't think he's the least bit worried about Joshua.
I don't think he needs him.
I don't. Yeah.
I
don't think so.
He already overachieved. He already did what he was supposed to do.
A lot of pressure on Joshua's shoulders now.
Yeah, this is Joshua's moment of redemption here. You know?
Yeah. I mean, what else? I mean, really, Ruiz still has zero pressure on him.
Zero
pressure in the first fight. He's got zero pressure in the second fight.
Zero.
None.
Zero.
Because if he loses again, the first fight was just a fluke, no big deal. But he wins again, and now, it's insane. Now he fights Wilder, or he fights Fury. He'll fight somebody, and he fights him for a lot of money, man.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure he's not getting underpaid for this fight either. I'm sure he's getting quite a bit of change for this fight.
I would assume so, yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's go back to the phones here. 706, you're live. Jason, what's the word?
What's up, JJ?
What's going on, guys? What's going on, man? You're not going to read my intro, Eric? Come on, man.
I can't read your intro. You sent me like this big, long intro, like a paragraph, and it's like from an article that here. Let me see what I can do.
It's like it's like a 10-second line. Oh my God, Jesus Christ!
It's not a 10-second line. You want me to just read the line? Yeah, let me see.
Yeah, just read the whole thing.
He wants you to read the whole article live.
Read the whole article. Yeah, let me just
stop
the
article,
show. Read the whole article.
Not the article. One little page, like 10 lines. One little page.
The now defunct at Kobe Bean account had been the most notorious of these trolls. And Kobe now appears to have been reborn at Heyman TVE, which uses the image of Eddie Hearn on a milk carton as its avatar and a photo of Mayweather private jet as his profile banner. You see people like Kobe, they go extra hard, Descartes said. It's partly trolling, and it's partly that they feel they have a hold up a flag for a black dude who's doing it from the ground up. There you go. Look at that, The Athletic writing articles.
Big props for you, kid.
That thing has 500,000 subscribers.
You're a legitimate
publication. You got 500 kids.
You're a legitimate
troll now.
I was about to say he's a legitimate troll now.
Beeb, you know what's funny is that they trash him in this article. They completely trash him, and he's happy about it.
Now when he fills out his taxes,
They didn't really trash me. they admitted why their accounts like mine exist, like, because of all that fucking bias against Heyman. I mean, if I didn't see all that bias against Heyman.
Oh, is that what they said? They said that.
That's what they said. Yeah, that's what they said.
This guy will twist anything to his favor.
Yeah.
This guy is the king of confirmation bias.
They called you a troll, Jason. They said you were like king of the trolls.
I fucking called out I even tweeted the fucking guy that wrote the article, and I fucking called his ass fucking racist. I said, how come you're not bashing the media that bashes Heyman? You're going to talk about the fans that defend Heyman. How about the media that fucking trash PBC in the beginning? He's like, oh, I can only write such a long article. I'm like, yeah, right. They always want to talk about fucking fans, So they never talk about the Dougie Fishers and the Kims that try to smear Heyman in the beginning. They never do that shit.
You do your taxes next year.
In the chat, he said that my intro needs to come back.
So when you do your taxes next year, right? When on the line where it says occupation, are you going to put professional troll on the top now?
Nah.
He's thinking about it.
Maybe if I lose
he's unemployed. He's unemployed now, so why not?
Once I retire from my full-time job, maybe I can use that as a side income.
Was Burger King going out of business? I mean, what?
This is fucking dude. This is Oscar's. Like Oscar always does it, doesn't he? Like when PBC used to use Golden Boy Promotions to use their fighters, there was always this confusion about whose fighters they are. Like I don't think Oscar is that smart to even know what in these contracts. He doesn't read them himself. Like that guy, he can't really read
the Roberto
legal
that
language and context. Like guys,
no,
like
he doesn't. I mean, he said that he doesn't. The one guy does. What is his name? Roberto Diaz or something like? Yeah, Roberto Diaz. And
that guy's a moron too. I just saw him tweeting on Jamal Herring's post. That guy's such a moron. His company's going down in flames, and he's asking Jamal Herring, "Oh, dude, what was that drama about WBO and PBC and Crawford?" And I tweeted him. I was like, "You moron! Your company's going down in flames, and you're worried about WBO and Crawford. That's what's going on. These guys are always worried about other people. They never worry about their own shit. That's why Ryan Garcia was at fucking Tank's last fight against Hugo Ruiz in the Step Up Center, and Oscar got pissed and said it'll be a cease and desist. I mean, there's been bad blood going on in that whole company. Virgil Ortiz is the only guy they have, and he's the only kid that's happy there because he's a young kid. He hasn't made much money yet, so he doesn't know what he's worth yet. Ryan and Canelo don't know what they're worth, and Ryan doesn't like what he's getting paid. And the reason he's on an undercard is because he went to Tank's fight 6 months ago. Oscar got pissed. He was like, "How dare you show up to a fucking Mayweather Promotions event and send a cease and desist letter from his lawyer to LB?" And LB was just laughing. He's like, "You guys crazy, That's some jealous ass shit, man. Why would you send a cease and desist letter because your fighter went to somebody's event? That makes you look stupid. You should keep that shit in the in-house." And all these, did you see Oscar and that matchmaker Eric Gomez all coordinated tweets, like 3 of them at the same time? They said, "I'm standing behind my matchmaker." Then 2 seconds later, Eric Gomez tweeted out, Roberto Diaz did nothing wrong. Why would you say that shit out publicly? You should be having that shit off Twitter. It's almost like they're little kids running a company.
It's corny.
I don't know what. Yeah. I mean, I've never heard anybody at PBC air out their company fucking problems ever. I've never heard Tim Smith or fucking DeBella or fucking LRB ever talk about the inner workings of PBC in fucking 10 years that I've been watching them, And Oscar, like every few months, you always hear about inner workings. Like it's crazy.
That's the thing.
I'm following Oscar's Twitter.
Yeah, I think that what happens is especially with these companies like Golden Boy and stuff like that. I've never seen it
they're all buddies. They're not really. They're all buddies, dude. They're all buddies.
Yeah, when they get into Twitter wars with their own people, and I don't understand that. Like the fighters, they can do whatever they want. They can tweet out whatever, but when the guys start coming, the higher ups start coming back.
Canelo's trashing, if Canelo's trashing the matchmaker, let him trash him. Who gives a fuck about the matchmaker, dude? Matchmaker has no face. Let him fucking deal with that shit. Give him a fucking.
You're Golden Boy. Who'd you rather lose, the matchmaker or Canelo?
Right. Exactly.
That would be like a company.
So buddy. This is. Go ahead.
That would be like a company siding with the friggin', no disrespect, the janitor over the fucking president. You know what I'm saying? It's like why are they defending the matchmaker over the fighter?
These guys are like high school buddies. These aren't like real professionals. These are like high school buddies that he's put him in these jobs. Like Eric Gomez used to be his gopher. He used to carry his gym bag and shit. When Oscar was drunk, Gomez used to drive his ass home and fucking in camp and shit. And Roberto Diaz used to be one of what's his name? Marco Antonio Barrera's camp guys. He came from his camp. That's what I read on Twitter. Somebody was saying these guys, they're just like random people put into position in Golden Boy. I don't know, man. What the hell?
It's all nepotism.
Ryan Garcia. What was that guy he was going to fight? Is the guy he turned down, was that a tough fighter? I've never heard of him.
I've never heard of
Tino,
him.
whatever was his name.
I've never heard of him either. But,
yeah, no.
Apparently he was going to be like the main event. And,
but Pascal, man, that was good, man. I'm happy for Pascal. I thought that Browne was solid, but he's never fought anybody, so I'm kind of glad he got exposed by Pascal. He deserved it, man. The way he headbutted Badou Jack, he fucking led with his head purposely, so I kind of felt like it was karma that came back to him, you know? And Badou Jack has way more heart than this fucking punk. When he looked at the doctor, he said something under his breath to the doctor, like, no, I can't continue. And the doctor was like, yeah, he can't continue. Badou Jack's gash was way worse than he fought for 12 rounds.
Stopped the fight. He didn't stop the fight. Let's be fair.
That was a nasty cut, man. There's no way.
And for the doctor to stop it that quick.
I think if you look closely, Marcus says something to him before he says to the ref, stop the fight. If you just look closely,
am I cut? Is it a bad cut? Could have said anything. Not I want to quit. He could have said. Hey, he could have said anything to him. Like, how big is the cut? Is it a bad cut?
Is it really? How bad is it? Is it bad?
But as soon as he said that, he waved at the ref. As soon as he said it.
Jason, when you don't like somebody, you will go at them for anything. Like, oh, the guy's got the wrong color shoes on today. What a loser!
He's got a blue shirt on today. What's wrong with that guy?
I hope Anthony Yard does the same to Kovalev next week, because that motherfucker has some karma coming to him too. He's a piece of shit. I hope I'm going to be rooting for Anthony Yard big time. That guy deserves it.
Is that fight next week? The Kovalev fight?
No, it's on the 24th.
No, I don't know when it is. But yeah, it's on ESPN Plus, which is weird. Man, ESPN, like, they're fucking horrible. Beeb, you're always talking about DAZN. You need to talk about ESPN too. When was the last time they gave us some good fights on TV?
No, they're horrible.
Shit on TV, man.
Look at the Fury fight they're trying to put together.
Oh God.
Did you guys watch Covington versus Lawler? That was a horrible fight last night, man. And fucking
I missed
arena
it.
Jersey booed Covington, which was kind of weird. I didn't expect
I'm so
that.
mad I
thought
didn't watch that.
Should be cheering for Covington. It was a horrible fight.
Covington apparently walked that fight, man. I already won a unanimous decision, beat him up and everything.
Covington was doing stuff. Robbie was just moving his head, but Robbie's washed up, and he looks like a fucking mummy out there. He's so slow. He's horrible. And he's like, I'm just going back to the drawing board. He's punch drunk. Like, he should not be fighting. I said that like 6 months ago. I guess he's just collecting checks from UFC. But Trump's both of his sons were in the front row cheering for Covington. The whole arena booed Trump and Covington, which is kind of surprising to me, because I thought that was the UFC fan base, you know.
Covington,
but I guess Lawler met Trump.
Yeah, Covington went to took his belt to go visit Trump or whatever, put his belt on his desk and took pictures with him and everything like that. Yeah, Covington is.
Dude, they showed a video of Trump calling Covington, and it took that guy 2 days to talk about the fucking 2 massacres. Can you believe that shit? That guy just fucking made a statement about those massacres in Ohio and Texas.
No, he made one. I mean, let's be fair about it. He made one earlier. He made them earlier.
Obama used to actually go to the fucking funerals of people and console them. I've never seen this guy do that shit.
No,
I've seen Obama console fucking families that at the hospital and shit. Like, that's the kind of guy he was. You know, I don't see that kind of shit from these guys. And all these, I mean, it's all these. Well, never mind. We shouldn't be talking about it anyway. But Spence versus Porter. What date is that? You know? Did you see the commercial for that yesterday?
September 28th, I think.
Yeah, something like that. September sometime.
September 28th.
Yeah.
And Wilder Ortiz doesn't have a date yet, does it?
Not that I know of.
No, I can't believe that fight sucks.
I think Wilder's being dumb by even fighting Ortiz. Look at who the fucking Fury's fighting. That guy has no shame. He's proud of fighting the bums he's fighting. He's fighting what is it? Otto Wallen? Who is he fighting?
Otto Wallen, baby.
What's his name?
Guy is
Otto Wallen.
The Swedish guy.
Yep, Swedish.
Yeah.
Undefeated.
Like,
he's 24-0, son.
You know?
24-0.
Yeah.
Never had a fight outside of Scandinavia.
Fucking Wilder should fight fucking Charles Martin or something. I mean, that's the level of guys Fury's fighting. That was rumored to pony for Fury too. Because fucking Ortiz, man, he could beat Wilder. I mean, that didn't happen. Wilder hasn't looked the best lately, you know. Brazil was Brazil. Ortiz could upset anybody.
Brazil put up a good fight against him.
His skills.
Brazil put up a good fight against Wilder.
No, he sucked, man. He fucking sucks. What'd you guys think about Tank called out Loma on fucking TMZ Sport? He said, I think I'm ready for Loma in 2020. I think we can fight. I think that'd be a good fight in 2020. What do you guys think?
Tank and Loma?
Tank. Yeah, he finally called out Loma on TMZ Sport. He said, I'm ready. Let's go.
Yeah, I didn't hear Mayweather calling him out.
He's scared. Shit.
I think Tank can beat him.
If Loma can't fucking knock out Pedraza, what is he going to do with Tank? He can't knock
Nah, I
out
don't think
Pedraza.
Tank
What
can
is he
beat
going to do
him.
with
I mean,
Tank?
Tank's got a. I mean, listen, man. Tank's got a shot. Tank's got more of a shot than I thought. Than I would have thought like a year ago.
Tank's got way bigger shot than Linares. Hey,
He'll
Tank's got
definitely be
more
the
shot than
underdog.
Linares, man. I guarantee you that.
Yeah, Tank will definitely be the underdog in that fight.
I'm in the minority picking Tank.
You think he'll do better than Linares? I think he'll do better than Linares. What do you guys think? I think Tank will do better than Linares. Then what do you guys?
I think he can win I think he's going to win the fight.
You think Tank wins?
Yep.
I think so too. He could. Yeah. Dude, his fucking power. I've never seen a 130-pounder hit like Tank. Like, never. Name another 130-pounder that hits like Tank. I've never seen one.
He's got freakish power.
Nacho in the chat just said Davis can say whatever he wants. His promoter Floyd isn't going to take that fight. He, you know what? He's 100%.
I'm going to be honest with you. This kid Davis is very explosive. He's got fight-changing power, man.
Yeah.
I think he's
Nacho should worry about. Hey, but Nacho should worry about all the drama in Golden Girl and DAZN. I think he work for Golden Girl. I mean, that's what he should be worried about. Not fucking PBC. I mean,
you work for PBC.
These guys all never want to talk about the drama at Golden Girl and Ryan Garcia and shit. He's gonna talk about PBC. He should worry about fucking Ryan Garcia. Who's he fighting next? Virgil Ortiz getting no promotion from DAZN or Golden Girl. Nacho never brings shit like that up, but he's always like ready to take shots at PBC. But even though PBC is #1 in boxing right now,
why always got to disrespect Nacho?
You're always why do you always disrespecting Nacho?
Nacho never says anything bad about you. You got to always go in on him.
Nacho's got to be Nacho is just like Oscar. He's a fucking phony bastard. Nacho is just like Oscar.
Beeb, would you agree that Nacho's probably in the running for Caller of the Year?
Phony bastard.
I think Nacho's going to be Caller of the Year next year.
I think so too.
I mean, Nacho knocked me out last week. I got to give him his props.
He's trying to get to my level. He's trying to get to my. I motivated him. Actually. No, I got kind of comfy in the middle, but I'm coming back.
Nacho actually.
We're gonna get running, man.
Nacho actually. Nacho actually accepted the challenge, and he did beat the Beeb when Jason wouldn't.
That's right.
Jason hit for like.
Jason ran from that.
We invited Jason to do it, and he hit for 2 weeks.
Nacho did.
Nacho actually did it.
That's right. That's right.
I sent Nacho's shirt out 2 days ago. He should be getting it in a couple days.
Nice.
From this day, you'll be my new fool.
Georgie.
Hey, yo! What's happening, people?
What's the word?
What's going on, buddy?
Man, I had all these fucking lies back to back. PBC dick riding to the fucking foolers. How you guys encourage this man? How the fuck? Every week. Tank power. Tank. Negro, please. Let it go already. We heard enough about Tank. Man, listen, PBC doing it. I'm not gonna hang on out too much. He's putting the fights. I'm gonna give Jason that. Fury, on the other hand, he's fighting this dude, man. Oh my God, how the fuck?
Otto Wallen, baby.
Bob.
The Scandinavian sensation. It's 24-0.
It's Scandinavian. #1 in Scandinavia. Where these men on the so-called rankings?
Well, if Fury's fighting him, he's got to be #1, right? He doesn't fight just nobodies.
Scandinavian sensation.
Yo, people, let's talk about something productive. Let's talk about the state of boxing. What do you guys think about where boxing at right now? Because some popularity, it looked like he's doing good. A lot more people getting interested in boxing. But about the control.
I was at a pool party last week and they were talking about it.
But about the control, boxing is real divided. Boxing is becoming more popular, but the powers that control it are really divided, and this is the side effect of this shit is that we're not seeing the fights. It's taking so long. And now these people making these fucking bills on top of that shit. Because listen, I want to make something clear. There's a couple things that you guys talk about sometimes, like the shit that Beeb said, I never agree with him. Like, Beeb, what for you, what is elite? What the word elite means?
What do you say?
The word what?
Elite.
Rikers.
Oh, the word elite? What do I classify
Yes,
as elite? I'm
Roy
going to
Jones
be
Jr. would be elite.
Yeah, because
I'm going to be honest with you. In my era, in this most recent era that just passed, the only two elite fighters that I can recall is Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather. Those are the only two guys I would put in the elite status, in my opinion.
because this is what I don't know. It could be like it could be a misunderstanding that I have. Because when you refer to elite, you got to talk about like division. Every division has an elite. Like I remember when you used to do these videos with the Dominican dude, you refer to Mikey and not being elite. But you laughing about? It's so funny, Gary. Share the joke with the audience. For my people on the back, say it loud.
Well, to be perfectly, Georgie, one thing you have to understand, though, when you start talking about categorizing fighters from different eras, and it's all going to be subjective. Like, it's all opinion based.
Yeah.
I can explain to you why I believe what I believe, but at the end of the day, it's just going to.
We need certain definitions to get our understanding. There's certain things like you guys were arguing with Eric the other day about we not calling people bell holders. There's always been, I don't know if this shit is like a fucking Mandela effect or what the fuck, a fucking Matrix fucking moment sort of thing, but you used to be the champion of the world if you defended. That became what they call the super champion. And then the regular belt, what they call the regular belt, became for when you became a champion. But if you didn't have a couple of defenses, you wasn't no champion. That's always been the standard. And through the years, this shit got watered down to everybody's a fucking champion. So we need this definition back on place. When we're talking about elite, when we're talking about champions, belt holders, and have always been, because the phrases, we just didn't come out with these phrases. They've been around for a long ass time for a reason. So we have to have like an accord among us.
Well,
every time we use these words.
You know what? But it's just like I was telling Beeb in that conversation. I said, when we talk about and you speak about elite fighters, you talk about champions, you talk about belt holders and all that other stuff, it's all subject to opinion. It's all opinion. It's just like talking about pound for pound. If I say Roy Jones Jr. was elite, you say no way. I could say listen, I can come out here and say Chavez Jr. is elite. You know what I mean?
That's apple and oranges. There is no way the pound for pound leagues can be associated when we call somebody a belt holder and when we call somebody a champion.
It absolutely can. It absolutely can, because it's a matter of opinion. I can say as a matter of fact that everybody with a belt around their waist is a champion. That's a fact. That's a fact. They have a belt around their waist. They're the IBF. If I go to the IBF, they can crown that. They say, "Hey, who is your champion?" Let me ask you a question. If you won the IBF belt, would you introduce yourself as the IBF champion or the IBF belt holder? That's it. That's why it's a matter of fact, and that's the other one's a matter of opinion.
Because they're selling a product, but I'm not talking about the perspective of these fucking vampires trying to put some shit on your mind. I'm talking to you as a fan, as a hardcore.
Sure.
Something that has been passed on through fucking ages, my dude. If a champion, to be called a champion, has to defend the fucking belt. That's an understanding the hardcore that always have. And I see that these people, they're supposed to be hardcore, He's not even aware of this. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? There's no way you can call a belt holder a fucking champion. You have to defend. Always been like that. I don't know what type of fucking matrix. You guys gotta go back into fucking books, back to school, restudy that shit, and I'm gonna talk to you guys next fucking week. Better have a fucking answer for me. I gotta go. Everybody out there, support the channel, donate. I'm outie.
Georgie. Well, B, we got to get cracking on homework. Georgie's coming for us next week.
They're gonna do a fucking thesis on that shit. Fucking 500 word paper.
Yeah, we got to do a 500 word essay.
Everyone's gonna have their own opinion, man. I mean, you can't change people's opinions.
Be like, you consider like Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather elite fighters of this era. And you know what? So do I. But could you add Sugar Shane Mosley to that list? Could you add, you know what I mean? Could you? Yeah. Does it matter? No. Because it's just opinion. You know what I mean? Pernell Whitaker definitely would be on that list. He would definitely be an elite fighter, you know. I don't know, man. Would Meldrick Taylor be an elite fighter? I don't know. This depends. Depends on who you are. If you were a big fan of him, maybe. I don't know. But you know, I think it's kind of like the pound for pound debate. You know, it's all subjective. Nobody really.
I don't like having pound for pound. I don't like having pound for pound conversations because it's like.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know, and trying to compare fighters from other eras and stuff. I like what Lennox Lewis said last night. He goes, "I was the best in my era. That's all I can be. I don't like to cross eras."
That's it. You know, well, and you know, you talk about like say a guy like Klitschko, who didn't have a lot of people in his era, you know, but he had the longest. You know, he had a long title reign. He beat everybody in front of him, but he didn't have really any elite heavyweights to beat. You know, I mean, there wasn't like a lot of elite heavyweights out there that everybody's like, this is the fight I want to see Klitschko and this guy. You know, he didn't have a lot of that. You know, whereas Lennox Lewis, he had a lot of guys. You know, so I don't know, man. It's a tough one, man. And I mean, could you say that he's not elite? I think that's a tough sell for me to say that Klitschko wasn't elite. Huh?
I mean, it's not easy to you know, categorize people's careers sometimes. But yeah. Klitschko did have a long run.
He did. You know, and you know, you talk about stuff like that, and you think about like Floyd Mayweather, and I'm not the biggest Floyd fan. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's a great fighter. I don't know as far as like him personally, I don't know about that. But you know, listen, man, 50-0. Hey, listen, you go out there night after night. Everybody has a bad night, you know, and he found a way to win. And just like Klitschko, out of all those nights, man, he found ways to defend his title that long. So
just because you don't like a guy's style, it doesn't take away from what he's accomplished, you know?
No, not at all.
It really doesn't.
All right, train wreck of the week this week. Sergey Kovalev was kicked off a plane. Kovalev was removed from a plane this week after grabbing a woman's hand, kissing her, and then throwing money at her. Listen, I don't mean to laugh. It's not a funny situation, but it's actually a bad situation. But I remember we were just talking about this just a few minutes ago, Beeb, and you'd said that, well, you know, the things that he does, maybe this is customary in his country, you know, like he grew up in, not customary, but you know, and like not a, you know, and I read this like he's throwing, you know, like grabbing her hand and kissing her, but then throwing money at her. I just kind of like, you know, as soon as I read that, I just kind of chuckled. I was like, wait a minute here. That's not customary anywhere. The captain was notified of the event and had Kovalev removed from the plane. Kovalev or Main Events was not available for comment. All this while Kovalev still has a pending felony assault charge for punching a woman in the face after she refused his sexual advances back in 2018.
Crazy.
Beeb, what's going on with this guy?
I think he's crazy. I think he's fucking sick.
You know, the thing is, like, the crazy part is, like, you know how, like, when Manny Pacquiao was at his best, you know, I mean, he was out there, he was playing pool for money, he was going to cockfights, he was, like, you know, drinking and everything like that, you know, and everybody said, you know, when he found God, his knockout streak ended and all this other good stuff. Is this Kovalev that needs the edge? is this like his edge that he gets in trouble, that he pushes the envelope? I mean, is he just a lousy human being? I think it might be a little bit of both, but I don't know.
You got to question his character because he's got a long list of things that he's done that haven't been really great. Yeah. So at this point in his career and at this age, if you haven't fixed these things, then I don't know if you ever can. I mean, if you don't know right from wrong at this age and you have a wife and a child and you're raising a child, and it's pretty sad. It's pretty sad. So this is just have to accept this is the type of person he is. I mean, he's done a lot of questionable things, said a lot of questionable things. The whole thing with the little kid wearing that jersey.
Yeah.
That was disgusting. I mean,
yeah, it was.
So at this point, there's really no excuses that I could make for the guy, and I just don't think he's a good person.
I don't think so either.
I just don't think he's a good person. I think he's got a questionable character.
I think it's funny. I mean, kind of funny, ironic that he was trained by John David Jackson. Now, of course, he's trained by Buddy McGirt.
Yeah.
He's profiled as being a racist on numerous occasions.
Yeah.
His violence against women and that kind of thing. He's promoted by Main Events, which is owned by Kathy Duva, who's the main promoter over there. It's just odd to me. I don't fully get it sometimes.
It's a walking paradox.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just an odd thing. This next story just turns my stomach. I hate to even give it any news, but it is the news. So Carlos Baldomir was sentenced to 18 years in Argentina for sexually abusing his daughter when she was between the age of 7 and 9 years old. Hopefully he doesn't get the opportunity to be released. It just completely turns my stomach. Just an awful, awful story. Let's move. It's
disgusting.
It is. It's terrible. The WBC suspends Dillian Whyte from the interim title, and Beeb, I think you did a video on this earlier in the week. Whyte will be allowed to present his case to the WBC. Beeb, has a B sample come back? Did they request a B sample? Has it come back? Has anybody heard anything on this?
I haven't heard anything about the B sample.
It's like on a milk carton, right?
By the time we get to it, it's probably going to be the Z sample. Who knows?
Yeah, right. What do you make of the WBC suspending him from their interim belt? Because quite honestly, the interim belt doesn't mean a whole lot right now, unless of course Deontay Wilder beats Louis Ortiz. Then that interim belt will mean a whole lot. What do you make of this?
I thought it was the right thing to do. They had to do it because if they didn't, they would have looked bad. They had a safe face here.
Well, not only that is that the WBC is also with that clean boxing program and all that other good stuff, which I think Dillian Whyte was a part of. So there you go. And the story to end all stories here, Tyson Fury. Beeb, he's fighting on Mexican Independence Day, September 14th, Mexican Independence Day weekend. Beeb, I tell you what, I hope it's on pay because I'll pay for it. Because if it's not on pay, it should be. He will face undefeated Otto Wallin on September 14th. Beeb, are you excited? Tyson's your boy. You're responsible for him. And you're responsible for the things he does.
Well, when I was critical of this deal back in, when was it? I think May or June when it was first announced. I was hoping to be wrong. I say things a lot of times with the intent and the hope of being wrong. And this was one of those times. And unfortunately, I wasn't wrong. Because since this deal, what have we gotten? We got Tom Schwartz, and now we got this guy.
I'm a little disappointed, though. You act like Tom Schwartz wasn't that much competition.
And I want to go to a video interview that his brother Shane did with IFL TV. And Shane was asked, why doesn't he fight this guy? Why doesn't he fight that guy? And Shane came out and said this. It's on camera. He goes, why should he fight this guy when he's making all this money? to fight guys like Tom Schwartz. I don't think the next fight is going to be a tough one either. Why should it be when he's getting paid what he's getting paid? So he basically let the cat out of the bag. You know? And if Bob Arum's going to pay him for all that to fight these guys, then, you know, it is what it is.
It is hard to argue with. I mean, listen, as a fan, I hate it. You know, listen, I think we follow the sport pretty deep. I've never heard of Otto Wallin, never heard of Tom Schwartz.
No.
I mean,
and again, not to cut you off, here's the hypocrisy here. We're going to showcase this guy in America, on American soil, and supposedly they were supposed to get American fighters for him to fight. He hasn't fought an American fighter since he signed this deal. No disrespect, not that I'm being xenophobic or anything, but
yeah,
how are you going to introduce this guy to the American public fighting guys that aren't even popular in their own countries, let alone America? Like, people don't know who they are. So you went back on your whole mission statement here, your whole plan.
I think that's the thing for me, is that, you know, you get in there and he's supposed to, you know, you want to get him in the public eye. Want to get him in the USA and give him all these, you know, get him some exposure. The best way to do that is against American talent. Now, listen, they don't have to be the best American talent, all right? Because we've got plenty of guys on the level of Tyson, you know, Schwartz and
why didn't he fight Brian Jennings?
Guys on that level.
Why didn't he fight Brian Jennings?
Right. You know, we got plenty of guys on that same level.
Why didn't he fight Oscar Rivas?
You know, it's just like, what are you guys doing? This fight would probably do better in England. You know, I don't know, man. It's just, it's
maybe I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I'm just missing this. I'm missing this whole strategy.
Well, you know what? And the same thing's happening. You know, it's a top-ranked thing because, listen, the same thing's happening with Terrence Crawford. Look, Errol Spence is fighting Mikey Garcia. You know, he fought Mikey Garcia. He's fighting Sean Porter next. He's probably going to fight Pacquiao after that. Who's Crawford fighting? You know what I mean? He's not fighting anybody like that anybody cares. He's fighting Kavaluskas next. Who cares about that fight? We know the outcome of that fight. It's not going to be, you know what I mean? So what's the purpose of this, man? I mean, like, we've got to start, like, you know, upping these guys' competition or something. I mean, Bob Arum, they asked him about this at one of the press conference he sent me with Eddie Hearn. When he was at the presser with Eddie Hearn.
Yeah.
They said, you know, well, all the other welterweights are on the other side of the street. And he was like, no, they're not. Those are some of the welterweights, but not all of them. And you're right. Not all of them, because the welterweight's deep. I mean, they got a lot of people in them, but not a lot of people that anybody want to see him fight. Everybody that they want to see him fight is on the other side of the shop. So, I don't know, man. It's a tough one.
I can't believe they can't put the fight together.
No, not at all. I don't get it. I don't get it. All right, let's go to the phones here. 469, you're live. Hello, you're live.
90 seconds.
Oh, hey, guys. First-time caller, long-time listener.
All right, very good. Who are we speaking with?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, Jose. Over here from Dallas.
Jose from Dallas.
Grand Prairie, Texas.
Jose!
Awesome. So what's on your mind, Jose?
Just pretty much, I'll keep it short. I know y'all been here for the what?
I said, what's on your mind?
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Oh, pretty much just give you guys a compliment. Yeah, have a
60 seconds.
The best podcast I've heard. I listened to a couple, even Spanish ones, and foreign now. You're pretty much part of the best. Yeah, I have probably the best callers. Jason, Nacho, of course. Shoot, even Robbie now. But of course, we can't forget Georgie with his mafia talk. And where's Lois? Haven't heard from her. She back there?
Lois, yeah. Where's Lois at, Beeb? Did you guys break up? What happened?
No, we gave her the weekend off. This is her vacation week, so.
So you broke up with her for the weekend, or?
Well, I got Frida filling in. Frida's filling in for the.
Frida's filling in. Frida.
Got her from the TEP agency, so she's going to be helping us out.
Jason, go easy on Nacho.
10 seconds.
Jason. Go easy on Nacho.
Nacho's a G, man. He's a
Nacho,
G.
great caller.
Yeah. Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he is, man. He's very, very knowledgeable as far as how to break down fights. I mean, every time I miss a fight, I make sure log into y'all and the podcast and hear exactly what went down, because he breaks them down real good.
Yeah, he sure does. He sure does.
Well, all right, guys. Well, let y'all go. I know y'all had a long, pretty much. Hold on, babe. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Well, listen, don't be a stranger, man. Call back.
I'll be at the. I'll be at the Ortiz fight, and like I said, I don't know why Golden Boy don't promote it like there should be. I don't hear nothing in the news, Spanish or English here. I mean, I just don't know what's going on with Golden Boy. They're just kind of like I don't know. I don't know. Jason, get onto them. Jason, come on now.
That's right, man. That's right. All right,
yeah,
man.
We need Jason to recruit Canelo.
That's right. We need Canelo and PBC to fight Charlos.
yeah, we need Jason to recruit him because Golden Boy ain't doing it.
That's right.
Well, all right, guys. Well, have a good night and prayers for Ohio and El Paso.
Thank you so much, man. Yeah, absolutely, man, for sure. Thank you so much. Look at that, Beeb, first-time caller.
Nice.
Jose. Area code 901. 901, you're live.
Hey, yo, what's going on? It's your boy H Money, Mr. DAZN. And I want to talk about Canelo versus Demetrius Andrade. The negotiations have really gotten serious, Eric and Beeb. I just want to bring it to the table. They're in deep negotiations, and people are saying that Canelo is not happy with his promotional company, Golden Boy Promotions. They say Canelo has a problem with Oscar De La Hoya. But if you listen to me, Canelo has been ducking Demetrius Andrade, the best fighter in the fucking world. Demetrius Andrade is the best. Can't nobody beat him. Canelo's making excuses. He's been waiting. That's why he got stripped from the IBF title. Okay? That's why he's no longer the IBF title. That's why he's mad at Oscar De La Hoya. Because on DAZN with Eddie Hearn, you have to fight the best fighters. I'm just going to bring it to the table. When Anthony Joshua needed an opponent, when Big Baby Miller tested positive, what did Eddie Hearn do? He went to the other side. People talking about there's sides of the street. Eddie Hearn, he doesn't believe in that. I mean, Maurice Hooker versus Jose Ramirez. Maurice Hooker, a matchroom fighter. He's a matchroom fighter. Jose Ramirez came from ESPN, and he came from Top Rank with Bob Arum. Why is Bob Arum telling everybody that Devin Haney signed with the wrong promoter? Could you please explain this? When Luke Campbell is fighting Lomachenko, Devin Haney is signed to the same promoter as Luke Campbell. It's obvious that he's ducking Devin Haney. It's obvious that Lomachenko is ducking Devin Haney. Why he doesn't keep the same energy he had with Tank Davis that he has with Devin Haney? You answer that for me. You answer that. Because Devin Haney is 5'9". And last time I checked, Lomachenko was 5'5". Wait, hold up. Last time I checked, Lomachenko was 5'5", and he got knocked down by Petrosyan, and he already has the loss. Last time I checked, Devin Haney turned pro at 16, undefeated, 22 wins. Last win by knockout, youngest millionaire in boxing, the youngest promoter in the history of boxing. The next Floyd Mayweather. Better than Floyd Mayweather, Devin Haney. Demetrius Andrade got people ducking.
Lomachenko's resume?
Lomachenko, who he beat? Gary Russell, somebody way smaller than him. Who he beat? Nicholas Walters, overrated hype on HBO, who is dead now thanks to DAZN and Eddie Hearn. Last time I checked, he beat an old man in Rigondeaux. Old man who's nothing. Little guy. Devin Haney 5'9". Devin Haney undefeated. Devin Haney beat the fuck out of Tank. You a Tank fan, right? You a Fat Boy Tank fan, right?
What happened to Tank when he
fanboy
fought against
Tank
Devin
fan?
Haney? The boxing boys put it out there. Yes, who can't make weight, who missed weight two times. Just like his mentor, Adrian Broner from Cincinnati, who can't make weight, like Rashid Warren, a bum, and Robert Eastern. I'm telling you the truth. I speak the truth, nothing but the truth. Hold me, God. And I just want to tell you guys, man, this is a great show, man. And Beeb, man, me and you have a lot of talks, a lot of discussions, Beeb. You know, Beeb, you definitely know the most about boxing. Eric, I mean, Beeb he's definitely the best in the game. And I'm just happy to call in this show and talk boxing because I know I bring a lot to the table and I'm ready to be a part of the panel. Shout out to Robbie. You know what I mean? I feel like I can do a good job. You guys just let me know, man, and I'm there. The time set, I'm ready like Demetrius Andrade versus Canelo. You just let me know, Mr. Matchroom Boxing, Mr. DAZN, I'm signing off.
All right. Good deal, man. Good deal. He's very excited. I will say that, Beeb. H-Money's always very excited. We love him. We love him. Beeb, do you think he was reading that whole thing?
No.
I think he was reading some of it.
I don't know.
I think he was reading some of it.
Really?
It was really well rehearsed. It took him a minute to get his breath and everything like that to get going.
I don't know.
Oh, my goodness. What a way to end the show here. All right, that'll do it for this edition of Ringside Reporter. As always, you can catch Joe Habib on Twitter at jhabib1. Find our YouTube channel at ringsidereporterlive.com. I'm at Ringside73 on Twitter, and we will see you next week.
All right.